Welcome back, friends. Last guy here. It's time for the Great Ace, the Adventure of the Runaway Room. We got to turn a jury of 6. Let's see what voices I remember. We're not going to remember any of the jury voices except for the old lady, because that's an easy one. Do I remember the guy's voice, the prosecutor? Let's find out right now. The defense wishes to assert its right to a summation examination, my lord.
Objection!
London is the capital city of the most powerful nation on earth. We have a duty to the world to exemplify the very highest standards of judicial procedure. Summation examinations are an embarrassment that should remain buried.
Objection!
That's less gravelly. But if it's our right, it's our right. I believe it could prove vital in this trial. Oh yeah, Santa. The defense's petition is perfectly valid. The court will proceed with the summation examination. This is madness. Foreman, are you and the remainder of the jury ready? Eh? Well, I'm not, There was no mention of this in the letter I received, you see, so... All members of the jury will be asked to explain on what grounds they have reached their decision. On what grounds? You must all justify your decisions and explain why you believe the defendant to be guilty. Well, my lord, you're rather putting us on the spot. This is most irregular. No mention was made of this before. I don't really hold all this. Just a fine lark. I can't do too southern because the other guy's got the southern. That's it. That seems to have thrown the jurors off. It seems none of them have experienced this before. Alright then, the summation examination. A defense procedure no practicing lawyer has attempted for years, is it? Well, just maybe. It might be the opportunity we've been looking for, to turn this trial around. So be it then. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the court hereby calls upon you to state the grounds on which you find the defendant Magnus McGilded guilty of this most serious crime. Ah, that voice sounds better. What a day does. Judicial findings. Ah, here we go. The juror's contentions. There is no one else inside the carriage at the time, so it has to have been him. Battery? What? I trust the driver. He has an excellent memory, it seems. 4 passengers with fares totaling 20 pence. He stuck the chap next to him just like this. Brazen, I must say. Absolutely brazen. Let's go with that. Why not? That's not the right voice, but let's go with it. I have simply typed and collated all the statements made thus far and drawn the logical conclusion. You can trust the guild. Fair fares is our motto. We haven't raised prices about 4 pence for years. The scoundrel stabbing that poor man on the floor, it beggars belief. Floor? There are problems all over here. I'm starting to wish I hadn't pushed for this now. Some of the jurors don't seem to have wonderfully formed arguments, though, do they? Well, let's see what we can do. We need to get these 6 people to change their minds. I have to throw everything I can at them, and use very persuasive language. Just a moment, Mr. Naruhodo. What if I curse at them? According to my book, that's not quite how it works. What? Oh? I thought I was going to have to thaw their icy minds with some heartwarming rhetoric about the defendant. Unfortunately, once the jurors have decided the defendant is guilty, they're unlikely to heed anything the defense says. But then, they've reached the conclusions by their own reasoning, you see. Your pleas still will sound like excuses. In fact, it could recoil on you. The more you try to persuade them, the more entrenched they may become. Oh wow, we are really strategizing here. And what on earth am I supposed to do? Oh dear, I'm just citing what I've read about British law. Mr. Naruhodo. Right, I'm sorry. You have any idea how to make this work then? Well, from what I can understand, the key to this procedure is using the juror's own words to make your arguments. What do you mean? Do I have to pick words? Well, the 6 members of the jury are randomly selected members of the public. They may appear to present a united front, but the truth is, they are complete strangers who just happen to find themselves here in the courtroom together. So it's gonna be a different jury every time? Oh, balls. And that's the way to break them down, you mean? Yes, exactly. Divide and conquer. We must listen very carefully to what each member of the jury says, and see if we can identify any contradictory statements. If we can, we then contrast the statements, and pit the corresponding jurors against each other. Ooh, even better! I see! Those contradictions are what 2 or more jurors say that we're looking for. And yeah, the 20 pence and the 4, that obviously doesn't count together. In a way, then, this is similar to a regular cross-examination, but hella different. Oh, yes, I suppose you're right. Find contradictions in their statements, and pit the jurors against one another to break them down. Chaos! Yes! Alright, I might be able to pull this off. No, that's not right. I will pull this off! I have to pull this off! Can we start proceedings, Counsel? I would ask you to take the stand for this. I'm expecting a clear and concise rebuttal. Yes, my lord. Every time I hear that, I think of freaking Warcraft. Jury examination. With my sword! The defense's rebuttal. Who do you want to pit first? Stuck the chap next to him just like this. Brazen, I must say, absolutely brazen. Now let's do this. 3 and 6 first. Kablam! You will battle you.
Objection.
These 2 statements are completely contradictory. Whoa, he dropped his knife. Does everyone have a knife? What? Explain, Counsel, post-haste. Oh, dearie me. I was only knitting a jumper for my other half. What is all this claptrap? What does contradictory even mean, I ask you? That is not the voice in any way, but that's the only voice I can think of right now. We've heard from more than one witness that they allegedly saw the actual moment when the defendant stabbed the victim. Now, out of curiosity, juror number 3. What? Y'all just see I'm busy here? I gotta change that voice up because I know that's not the right voice. How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim? What sort of motion was it? Ha! Want to test me, do you? Yeah, that sounds better. It was like this. Stuck the fella next to him without even getting up. Just like the prim breaker, they said. Yes, that was Mr. Fairplay's testimony. Quite true. Now then, juror number 6. Oh? Is that me? Is it? What can I do for you, young man? How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim, madam? Oh, well, dear, as far as I understand it. Blam! It was like this. He stabbed the poor man after he collapsed on the floor. The coachman said so. Don't move. Take a look at these 2 jurors. He stuck the fellow next to him without even getting up? And he stabbed the poor man after he'd collapsed on the floor? Well, I never. They're stabbing in totally different directions. What? Bless my stitches. What a muddle. Right, he does look Clockwork Orange, doesn't he? What this tells us is that there's a strong possibility one of the witnesses isn't telling the truth. Oh. But why? Why the dickens would they lie? I don't know that yet. But what I do know is that if the trial ends at this point, we may never find out. We may never know the real truth. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, can you really let that happen in all good conscience? Lies, you say? Oh, dearie me. White time! I can't abide people telling lies. Yes! The scales. I don't believe it. Hold it. Ah, there they go. Wait! Now hear this, my fellow jurors. I warn you, you cannot listen to this man. Look at him in his black suit. He's clearly some devious Eastern sorcerer using magic on us all. If I could use magic, do you really think I'd be putting myself through all this? Answer me this, Dark Jinx. Just the name. Huh? Me? What exactly is the problem? What if 2 witnesses have slightly different recollections of events? What if, let's say, the Shylock did stab the victim as he was sat next to him on the omnibus, and this young dandy saw him do it? And now let's say the victim collapsed on the floor, and then Shylock stabbed him again. And this old lady saw him do it. Well, what's it say it didn't happen like that, hmm? What are you calling a dandy, sir? Well, I should take this knife to you. Who are you calling old? Why, I should take this needle to you. Up the A! They're ready to kill each other now. Okay. But could the foreman of the jury be right? Did the two witnesses see different moments of the same crime? History, let's see here. There was only one stabbing, right? Court record. Oh, I never looked at the ledger, did I? Let's look at the ledger really quick. This portfolio must contain all sorts of secrets of London's gentry. Oh dear, do you really think we ought to look inside? Hell yes! Well, it's not as though we know any of London's gentry personally, is it? Apart from our great detective friend, perhaps. Actually, I wonder. I assure you will not find Mr. Sholmes inside. Well, let's see what we find. If Fairplay's in here. Oh, great, I can't read any of this. Gosh, it's crammed full of gentlemen's names, isn't it? Well, I suppose they're probably not all gentlemen at all, are they? After all, not everyone in this country is well off. Ah, goodness! What is it? Look at this. Do you see the name here? Bruce Fairplay! Woo! Should that mean something to me? It does sound seriously familiar, actually. Dude! Bruce Fairplay, the witness testifying at this very moment. Oh yes, of course, the banker. Why is his name in here? Ah, he borrowed 20 guineas, did he? And look, the repayment date is fast approaching. It's possible that this is just a coincidence, of course. But this could be very useful information. Details and thick. Fairplay's in here. He's got money due. Alright, guess he's gonna be the same over here, right? Yep, same over. Pull out. The knife. I can't find anything I put. Okay, let's look around. That part is the sheath, isn't it? Are you alright, Mr. Naruto? Oh, sorry, yes. I just don't really like blades. Oh, those don't seem like the words of a man with a large katana slung from his waist. That's not a blade. That's Kazuma's soul. Anyway, there's no sense in delaying it. Let's see what the blade looks like. Whew, blood. Bloody. And it's not that deep either. Deep enough to kill. Ugh, looks like a lot of blood. It surely is blood. The victims. An Englishman's blood looks a lot like Japanese man's blood. Well, yeah. Do you think it wouldn't? Sorry, it's just that we've only just arrived here in Great Britain. I find it a little hard to adjust. Yes, I do understand, but you're stupid. Alright. Ooh, there's the M. An ornate letter M. Undeniably Mr. Magnus McGilded's initial. And it's beautifully gilded, too. It must be very valuable, I should think. Ah! What is it? Look at this M! If you turn it upside down, it becomes a W. This could change everything. Good point! A W. Yes, this is one of those, turnabout cases. I'm sure of it. I'm afraid I don't know at all. But what I am sure of this is that this is an M. Damn! Oh, well, that idea was quickly quashed. It could be a W. Could also be a 3 or an E. Not really, though. That doesn't look like it. I swear it's actually a 3. Here it is, the autopsy. Wrong button. Wait, is it? Okay. Go back in there! Your autopsy report. Stabbed once. It's out of the question. Unfortunately, Mr. Foreman. What is it, you dark jinx? Come on, out with it. What you're suggesting is impossible. It's out of the question. Huh? What are you talking about, man? How can you possibly say that? You do realize that I'm only doing my job. As foreman to the jury, I have a responsibility to steer everyone in the right direction. So where's your evidence, then? That's what we want to see. I see the two witnesses say different moments saw different moments of the same crime. If you say that's out of the question, show me some proof. Easy. It looks like the only way I'm going to convince him is to present him with something he can't dismiss. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Some irrefutable hard evidence. As you wish. What? I'll give you the proof. My balls. It's out of the question that the two witnesses saw two different moments of the same crime as proven by the autopsy report. Bam! Presents. This is the victim's autopsy report. According to what's written here, Mr. Mason was stabbed in the abdomen. Only once. Only once? It's quite simple. The victim was stabbed precisely one time. Which means these witnesses can't possibly have seen it happen two different ways. Two different times. Where's his knife? Alright, I concede defeat. Blam! There we go. Bam! Oh, well done, Mr. Naruto. You did it! We can manage to change two more jurors' minds. Oh, if we can manage to change two more jurors' minds, we can force the trial to continue. Two more. Actually, there is something else that's bothering me about a couple of their assertions. Then that's where you must strike next. So I need to pit two more jurors against each other, and show there's another contradiction in their assertions. Exactly. You can do it. I read your mind. Like, seriously, he just thought it. You didn't say it out loud. Or is that a whisper? Well, the scales of justice have shifted, but they still weigh heavy on the side of guilt. Counsel, you have the floor again. Continue with your summation examination. I'm breaking down. I'm not love with the rich, but I despise liars even more. Innocent is my call for now, at least. Let's go look at the old lady. Dear me, you can't make accusations based on lies. I wonder if the poor man is innocent after all. Yeah, we haven't raised prices above 4 pence for years. But how do I prove what's about to come? Just a driver, excellent memory, seen 4 passengers with the fares totaling 20 pence. Means there is a 5th passenger. That's what it tells me. Let's go. The maid versus the guy.
Objection.
These two statements can clearly contradict each other. They do? Explain yourself, counsel. Me? Oh dear. What have I said? I swear on Silver Blaze's maiden name, I haven't the first idea what you're talking about. According to the group testimony we've heard so far, there were 4 passengers on the omnibus on the night in question. And according to the coachman, Mr. Beppo, he took 20 pence in fares. Quite right, I have those precise details typed neatly here in front of me. And juror number 5 also told us the following. The fare for the omnibus is always 4 pence. That it is, a fair and convenient single price, just the way London's characters should be operated. But that doesn't add up at all. In fact, it leaves a glaring discrepancy in the facts. Why, man, why? 4 passengers paying 4 pence each if you do the multiplication. Huh? It would be 16 pence. Exactly. As I said, it doesn't add up. The figures are different. By 4 pence, in fact. Or precisely one person's fare. One person's fare? Yes, in other words, on the omnibus that night. It's distinctly possible. There was another passenger we've heard nothing about. Good gracious! Every judge says good gracious. This can't be right. The coachmen of the guild are good, honest men, one and all. Trustworthiness is our watchword. The figures your coach claims most certainly do not add up. Your watchword, good sir, is a fallacy. I beg your pardon? Mr. Guildmaster, I think you ought to consider that if this trial were to end now, the news will surely spread all over London. The news that one of your coachmen tried to hide the fact he lets nefarious characters ride his omnibus. Whoa! Oh, snap! Alright then, how do I make this miserable trial doesn't end, So this trial doesn't... You put innocent, boy. Well, according to my book here, you simply launch a ball of fire into the innocent side of the set of scales. Now hold your horses there, coachman. We're all in agreement. Why do you have to go and... Wait till I get my hands on you, Beppo. Oh no! Oh man! Oh blam! This is all very irritating. Begging your pardon, sir. I'm going to do the same. Yes, I was wondering why she didn't do it yet. Majority innocence. We on the white side now. For the love of Mike, not you as well. A penny can be the difference between a smile and a tear, after all. I certainly can't put my trust in someone who doesn't follow my exacting standards in financial matters. Oh, really? I, for one, think it's only proper that we hear from the witnesses again. Oh, shit! Oh, I did it! I did it! Wait! That means... 4 jurors are now leaning to not guilty! We've done it, Mr. Naruto. We've won! This round. Haven't won the whole thing yet. He's just sipping his wine. What are you playing at, you dandy fool? You set your trap, sir. No one deceives me. But we had a consensus. I said shut your trap. I know a lie when I see one. And if the chap ever dares to cross the threshold of my shop, I'll take this razor-sharp blade and shave every last hair off his head. Shave every last hair off his head. He's a barber? Maybe? I'm gonna let that uncomfortably stay there for a little bit. I don't like that one bit. Alright. Please tell me he's a barber. Oh, there you go. Let that linger too long. Well, in quite remarkable turn of events, the defense's summation examination has flipped the balance of the scales of justice. The jurors now stand at 2 for guilty and 4 for not guilty. Accordingly, there is no longer a large enough majority among the jury for me to adjudicate, and the trial must continue. He's still licking the knife! And I hereby ask the defense, prosecution, and witnesses to return to their places. And I call upon all of you to continue to pursue the truth. Ah! Please stop licking that knife, guy. So, Lord Van Zeeks, continue to substantiate the case for the prosecution, if you please. I already forgot this guy's voice. Wine. I would love it if the longer this trial goes, the worse he is, because he's just drinking. Okay, he has taken his time. Oh! Having savored the rich aroma of the carmine contents of this hallowed chalice, it may seem crass to crush it to dust. Pray forgive the discourtesy. Lord Van Zeeks! Is it cold in here, or is it just cold in here? As the antiquated tome no doubt says, the prosecution may not speak during our summation's examination. So I honor our deathly silence, and listened to the charade. It seems I overestimated the intelligence of the jury. Woo! Ooh, pissing off the jury, eh? Well, no matter. There is nothing so hard to prove as a self-evident truth, it would seem. Finding the voice. No, and why else would we grace the courtroom with our presence after all? So, let us proceed to the next round of battle. Cape off! Bring forth the witnesses once more. Just broke that drink. I'm gonna go after his ass in the middle. Witnesses, I trust you heard the summation examination we have just heard? Had to endure? Oh, yes, sir. That I did, sir. Of course I heard it. Oh, yes, sir, I heard it. Oh, golly me, I heard it, sir. There we go. You saw in the end, the coachman. I believe it's Beppo. Yes, sir. My lord, sir. If it transpires that in your previous statement, you were attempting to veil the presence of a fifth passenger on your omnibus, You'll be found guilty of perjury. You are advised to bear that in mind, sir. Oh, mio dio. Mio dio. Curious. Now then, witnesses, I hereby call on you to testify before the court again. You will explain the various misgivings brought to our attention by the defense's summation examination. Oh, he's mad. He mad. Look at him. Look at him. I only carried 4 passengers that night, I swear, but well, I for one was told I had to pay 5 pence for the bus. He fiddled us on the fare, he did, and then I saw that blood curdling inside as well. It's all too much. When do I catch him on the fact he owes money? I tell you, I saw McGill stabbing that man. Everything I said before stands. Oh, yes. He stabbed him. Yes, he did. I think so, yes. Alright, we're gonna press, but, Counsel, make sense of this for me, please. The phantom 5th passenger conjured into existence by my learned Eastern friend never existed. The confusion has arisen from the coachman's sly little cozenage. Beppo, explain yourself. I gotta change that voice up a little bit. Terribly sorry, good guild master. The guild's fare is 4 pence across the board. You know that. Am I to understand that you've been overcharging our passengers by a penny a fare? It's so cold, and the last run of the day is always half empty. You have been dishonest, coachman. I'm so sorry. A disgrace, Beppo. A disgrace. And your selfish actions have brought dishonor on the entire guild. If I may, sir, I had to pay 10 pence on the bus just last week. Whoa! 4 passengers at 5 pence each is, yes, 20 pence. I've done the arithmetic 10 times already, but I just can't make the result come out differently. No, that figures. No, that makes sense. Well, it would appear that one of the aforementioned misgivings has already been explained. So, counsel for the defense, your cross-examination, if you please. I already had the pleasure of a protracted summation examination today. I see you intend to continue the parlor games. I lost his voice suddenly. Absolutely. Bitch. Cross-examination. Are we going from the start here? Press. So there were only 4 passengers on your carriage, but you didn't charge them the standard 4 pence fare. Is that right? It's impossible to make the last run of the day pay. I was just cold. It was all I could do to stop myself from passing out. That guy just keeps shaking. I'm getting chill blains just listening to you. It was so terrible, so I would give myself a pat on the back for even keeping the bus running. Okay, they haven't changed. Oh, he was looking at him because he was making Beppo say these things earlier. Doesn't dedicated coachman to deserve an extra penny per passenger? You're digging a deeper hole for yourself here. Only there had been a 5th passenger on the omnibus that night. Then we would have had another suspect. Does that mean everyone on board that night paid 5 pence instead of 4? Well, I paid 5 pence too, sir. And I just told you that I did. Of a flat fare, 5 pence across the board. It's not something to be proud of. The so-called discrepancy my learned friend identified was nothing of the sort. Much like the phantom killer you are so desperately needed, it's gone. Dead and buried. I'd would have been happy if I'd hadn't ever existed in the first place. You fiddled us on the fair, dude. Huh? This blood-curdling sight. You mean the murder, I presume? He's staring at him now. Yes, sir. A loathsome sight. No one should have to witness the horror in the eyes of a man at that moment. The moment his life is taken. Oh, well, not exactly, sir. Oh, what? I mean, I didn't actually see the exact moment the gent was stabbed. You said you did! No one's look has changed. Good gracious! Really? We have another witness who did, however. The banker has already testified to it. But Mr. First didn't actually see the point at which the victim was killed. That may turn out to be very significant. I heard the banker gent next to me take a sharp intake of her breath, see? That's why I looked through the glass. That's when I saw that horrible blade poking out from his belly, all covered in blood. Every time I see a knife now, I can't help screaming, even when I'm eating. Ooh, that sucks. You need knives. Alright. Press. So you saw the defendant, Mr. McGilvert, stabbing the victim, Mr. Mason, who was sitting next to him? That's what I said, isn't it? He was bothering me before this was. For just a brief moment, he hesitated before answering the question. Anyway, there was only the two with him inside the carriage, wasn't there? There's been much talk of a fifth passenger, but as yet, zero evidence. I've lost that guy's voice at the moment. I gotta find it again. We waste all this time for, eh? It's black and white, the man's guilty. Something about Mr. Fairplay's testimony just jars with me. I wish I could work out what it was. I know what it is, but I don't know when we can hit him with it. Oh yes, he's stabbed him. Yes, he did. I think so, yes. How do you know? Earlier, you testified that you saw the moment when the defendant allegedly stabbed the victim, didn't you? Oh yes, that's right. You said that the victim was on the floor and described the assailant holding the knife and an ice pick grip? What's an ice pick grip? Isn't this an ice pick grip? How are you gonna stab the tumbler like this? Shouldn't it be like this? I suppose. Okay, no one's changed their thoughts. I have your nose, yes, but put the cart before the horsey, baby. What's this? Well, I'm not quite sure about most of it. I was driving the horse when I heard a scream from the seats on the roof deck. Oh, I expect that was me, sir. And then I turned around, yes, and as I saw it through the skylight. Oh, shoot, I forgot to look. The gentleman was on the floor, the knife was sticking up out of his midriff. On the floor? Can I hit him now? I can't hit him now, can I? No, I can't. Because we clearly see he ain't on the floor. But no one's making any actions I can hit them with. That's right, yes. The fellow holding the handle was the famous man, yes. So in short, you didn't see the moment when the victim was actually stabbed at all. I really thought I did, but... That was pursued, can't go aboard. But when I could go over it again in my head... No, I suppose I didn't actually see the precise moment of the stabbing, did I? Hey there! What you doing, boy? Also, this is worse than LA Noire right now with this reaction here. Oh my god. Also, he's clipping. Okay, we're gonna go all the way through this, and then we're gonna hit him in a second. In fact, now that I come to think of it, I know it was gonna blink and tell me. I must have already happened when I heard the scream. Oh! Of course. That goes without saying. But I really wish he had said it earlier. Try to find this voice. The autopsy report makes it quite clear that the victim was stabbed only once. Which means the banker was witness to the fatal wound that ended Mr. Mason's life. Not long ago, this trial was nearly came to an end. Somehow we've managed to keep our chances alive here. I can't waste this cross-examination. I have to use it to bring some new facts to light. If you're not careful when you press these witnesses, the danger is that the jury will end up believing something unhelpful as they did before. So you can't just press hard? Maybe, but we can't let the fear of that happening stop us from uncovering important new information. And we can keep hitting them in the dick with examinations. Woo! Yes, you're right. You're so right. I need to pay careful attention to here. Attention here. I don't want to miss even a flicker of reaction among these witnesses. I thought we would be more subtle about it. Maybe if you happen to spot one of the witnesses acting in a strange way, don't hesitate to pursue them as to the reason. Get their ass. Bubba, 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 and here we go. Press. Here we go. Skippity skip, skippity skip, 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 skip. I really thought I did, but when I go over it again in my head, no, I suppose I didn't actually see the precise moment of the stabbing, did I? Struth! What is that?
Excuse me.
Sir, what the balls? Do you have something to say about that, Mr. Fairplay? Now listen to me. I know what you're thinking. You didn't really see the exact moment the fellow was stabbed. What are the chances of that? Eh? Are you asking me or telling me? He's getting flustered. I might be able to extract some new information from him if I answer him cleverly. Could he have just happened to see the exact moment the crime was committed? No chance. Well, it is a little hard to believe, certainly. Unless you spend your time peeping through a skylight on the top of an omnibus, that is. Ooh, peeping? I'm a respectable city bank, I'll have you know. And I know what I saw. I saw it as clear as a Ballarat day. It was a grim scene, I don't mind telling you. Thank you, Mr. Fairplay. Oh, excuse me if I was getting a little hot under the collar. There, my lord. I would ask you to supplement your testimony with a clear statement about what exactly you saw. Oh, I can do that, all right. I'll tell you just how grim it was. Do you think I'd forget the sight of those blood-soaked hands after that butcher stabbed the man?
Hold it!
Blood-soaked? Well, perhaps soaked is laying it on a little thick, but anyway, there was definitely blood all over them. Both of them were covered in it. Ah, we got his ass. And you saw that from the roof, through the skylight? Well, the skylight's reasonably large, so I had a pretty good view. And there was a lamp on inside the carriage as well, so I'm quite sure what I saw. This banker's last statement. I feel sure there's something not quite right about it. When you feel something doesn't add up, Mr. Naruhodo, get their ass. That's when you should have a good look through the court record. And get their ass. Alright, so let's go back. I gotta go through all this again. Oh, he's the last statement now, okay. Present. Item.
Objection.
Objection, boy. Blood-soaked hands? Well, I admit that soaked might be laying it on a little thick, but anyway, there was definitely blood all over them. Both of them were covered in it. I'm going too far into the other voice. Well, I'm very sorry to disagree, Mr. Fairplay, but that's more than a little peculiar. What? Here are the gloves worn by the defendant, Mr. McGill, did on the night in question. Oh, yes, right. Yeah, there we go, I found the voice again. and there certainly does appear to be a sizable dark-colored stain there. But, as I'm sure you can clearly see, it's only on the right hand glove. Ooh! In short, Mr. Fairplay, your testimony is inconsistent. But, no, that can't be right. There it is, I found it. I was grabbing from the wrong part of my throat. So you're the liar there, then. Stop nibbling on that, bro. That's right, you were quite clear about it. You said it was both hands. Mr. Fairplay, if your last statement was a lie, it calls your entire testimony into question. You say you saw the moment the victim was stabbed, but is that really the truth?
Objection!
It was a simple mistake. You can't justify accusing this man of lying. Yes, it wasn't both hands, it was only one, but the fact remains. The victim's blood was on the accused.
Objection!
No, Mr. Fairplay's categorically stated that he saw blood all over both hands. Which means there's a strong possibility that this witness was deliberately trying to mislead the court. Why? I'm a city banker for pity's sake. My word should be the gold standard. I'm a gentleman, not some gutter snipe. Upstanding members of society don't prevaricate. He's claiming to have no reason to lie. But is that really the case? Mr. Nadahodo, get his ass! If we had some evidence to explain why Mr. Fairplay might be lying, it could turn the tide in this trial completely. Something to show this man has a compelling reason to lie in this testimony. I have evidence. After we get him, we're going to stop. That should be a good break point. My lord. Yes, counsel? The defense is ready to present evidence. By Jove, are you sure? Yes, evidence that will clearly demonstrate why Mr. Fairplay had reason to lie in his testimony. I can't do reaction sounds at all. Very well. I hereby call on defense to present this evidence. Evidence that demonstrates a motive for the witness's alleged deception in the court. I almost didn't go far enough. Present! This is a list of the debtors who owe money to Mr. McGilded. Yes, a list of innocent victims crippled by the accused's extortion. The point is, among the names of these debtors is your name. Mr. Bruce Fairplay. But... What? Mr. Fairplay, are you currently indebted financially to the accused? No, well, it's barely worthy of being called a debt. According to this ledger, you owe 20 guineas. Not an excusable sum of money, wouldn't you say? Well, what of it? Let's suppose Mr. McGilded were to be found guilty of murder. What would become of your debt in that case? These documents state that the loan agreement is forged between two individual parties. Therefore, were the creditor, the defendant here, to be sentenced to a capital punishment, outstanding debts which were owed to him would be annulled they would cease to exist. Cease to exist? Mr. Fairplay, is it not the case that you claimed in your testimony to have seen something you never in fact saw? In a devious attempt to annul your debt of 20 guineas to the defendant. Is that like $2,000? Was that $20,000? Like, guineas can't be 1,000. It's gotta be $200. I mean, $2,000. Ugh. Nom 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 nom. Oh there! Oh there! Oh there! It just oh there. Ordar. Holdar. Mr. Bruce Fairplay. Yes, my lord. Let me ask you again. And be aware that your answer may have most serious implications upon your future, sir. Did you or did you not see the precise moment in time at which the defendant is alleged to have thrust a knife into the victim? Oh my god. Your silence speaks volumes. You did not tell the truth in your testimony. Alright, now let's not make a melodrama out of this. Perhaps I did overstate the truth a pinch. A pinch. But it makes no difference. I definitely remember seeing blood on Mr. McGillicud's hands, on both of them.
Objection.
And yet, only one of the defendant's gloves, which we have here as evidence, is stained. Ugh, so you keep saying. Golly. I wonder if I might be allowed to speak, sir. Go ahead, Mr. First. Well, the thing is, I think I remember seeing it myself as it happens. Seeing what? The blood, sir, on the assailant's hands. I think, yes. I'm almost sure it was on both of his hands, not just one. What? What? That's not something to freak out about, bro. That gives more credence to your fifth person. It would appear that we're going to need further testimony from our witnesses. This time, I would like to know precisely what you did and what you did not see. Are you getting cold, boys? Do I make myself perfectly clear? Yeah. This is not Oda. This is good news. The course of the trial seems to have shifted slightly at last. Yes! I might finally have a chance to turn things around here. Alright, we're gonna stop there. Witness testimony! Again! What the witnesses really saw. Yeah, everyone's a liar. For some weird-ass reason. Alright, that's enough for now. That right there is the game for now. Next time, we are gonna see another testimony. This is potentially the best visual novel series. Easily the best visual novel series, unless you're into a certain type of visual novel. This is easily the best visual novel games. For sure. Because this has been riveting. And apparently I've actually made a catchphrase of get their ass. Get their ass. What's the matter? Hold on. Get their ass. Alright, so that's it for now. See if Jinx is a fan of that. Although she won't be editing this anytime soon. I had fun with people watching. That's what it's all about, is having fun. Thanks for coming by, and see you next time.